Spendthrift Farm introduces for 2019 the Safe Bet program. Breed to a fourth-year stallion and watch his first crop of 2-year-olds have measurable success on the track in 2019, or you won't owe the stud fee when your foal is born. Visit spendthriftfarm.com/safebet for more. Spendthrift, the breeder's farm.
Hi everybody and welcome to Keeneland Babies, presented by Spendthrift, the breeder's farm. I'm Dan Illman along with Nicole Russo, and each day at Keeneland during this upcoming spring meet where there's 2-year-olds, you're going to find Nicole and I talking about them because these are some very fun races. 4.5 furlongs, a lot of first crop stallions having their first starters. And there's always the Wesley Ward watch, the over-under on how many winners, 2-year-old winners, Wesley Ward is going to have during this meet. What's interesting about the opening day maiden, however, is that Wesley Ward is on the outside looking in, his 2 entrants both on the AE list.
Yeah, and you know, as you mentioned, an overflow field here for our meet opener, first 2-year-old race of the year in Kentucky. A strong class of freshman sires this year, led, of course, by Triple Crown winner American Pharoah, who's actually got his first entrant on Friday in Ireland. Here in this Keeneland opener, we have a starter in the main body of the field for freshman Danza at Spendthrift Farm on the AE list. Starters for Carpe Diem, Bayern, and Palace Malice hoping to draw their way in. Just a really strong class of first-year stallions this year that we'll really zero in on. It's a very exciting aspect of the season.
Well, if the Ward-trained horses, the 13 Neabeth, the 15 Let's Stay Positive draw in, they almost automatically become the horses to beat. I wonder if the other trainers are going to sit around the table and say, don't scratch, don't scratch. We don't want to deal with Wesley on opening day. But let's take the field in post position order, discussing their pedigree, discussing their connections, and discussing their chances. The first race on opening day, Thursday at Keeneland. Let's start with the one, All About a Princess. This is a $4,000 weanling by a very promising son of Tappet named Flashback. Flashback winning 16% with his 2-year-old first-time starters. And Nicole, this dam was a runner. She won 16 sprint races, including her 2-year-old debut.
Yeah, a hard-knocking, precocious, and fast mare by another precocious and fast horse, broodmare sire Yana Guska, who you see there. Flashback by Tappet. Of course, Tappet, a very good 2-year-old sire, kind of early in the curve at this point in his career as a sire of sires, but already has nice horses like Tapizar, Trap Shot out there. Flashback did, well with his early 2-year-olds, and this horse has got a couple of, kind of moderate, good works at Keeneland. I like when they've been working at Keeneland as opposed to the Thoroughbred Training Center, as you see several here, just getting used to the surface and environment. Any experience edge you can get with a young horse at this point when they're all first-time starters, I think is beneficial.
One of the fillies that has been working at the Thoroughbred Center is the number 2, Mean Sophia, by Kentucky Derby and Preakness winner Smarty Jones. This one a $3,700 weanling purchase. Smarty Jones, 12% winners with 2-year-old first-time starters. The dam has foaled one prior runner, and that horse won the career debut. There are some nice names deep in this family, a little bit more route-oriented, though, on the bottom.
A little bit, yeah. I do think this one might appreciate more distance, but again, this one has a unique experience edge of her own. She's been turning in some 4 furlong moves as opposed to the 3 furlong or quarter mile that you see, for some other horses. And I should pause and point out here that Mike Welsh and our colleagues will have a clocker report during this Keeneland meet, and you can find some additional, notes on Keeneland from our clocking team throughout the meet. But Mean Sophia coming off a bullet move at 4 furlongs at the Thoroughbred Center in her most recent outing.
I'm a little bit interested in the number 3, Talk You Out of It. This filly has a precocious pedigree, only a $3,200 yearling purchase, but overanalyzed, the young stallion has won with 18% of his 2-year-old first-time starters. The Unraced dam has 1 winner. That horse won the career debut. The second dam, a multiple stakes winner on the turf, won her career debut. I like Indian Charlie as a broodmare sire, and a lot of folks don't know this trainer, Robert McCutcheon, but I went back into Formulator. In 2017, McCutcheon sent out 2 horses, both ridden by this jockey, debut runners going 4.5 at Keeneland. One of them, Shape of You, was second at 49-1. The other one was second at 34-1. And last year he sent out first-time starter No Limit Babe to finish second at 86-1. So McCutcheon can get a horse ready to run first out. This horse has some pedigree, maybe an interesting long shot to consider.
Yeah, wow, that's a fascinating statistic out of Formulator there for McCutcheon. And Overanalyze was among the leading freshman sires of 2017. He can definitely get you a nice 2-year-old.
We'll move on to the number 4, Quality H2O. This one is by Soldat, a son of Warfront, a $2,700 yearling purchase. Soldat wins 7% of the time with his 2-year-old first-time starters. This dam's been productive. Not only was she a sprint winner, she has foaled 3 winners from as many runners. The second dam, a hearty sprinter. This horse on the bottom, at least, has some sprint pedigree.
Yeah, and I think that, that female family, especially that second dam there, hard knocking race mare, adds some speed. Sold Out was a good 2-year-old. Warfront, obviously a very good 2-year-old sire. But I do look at this one, the versatile Sold Out, the turf influence from Warfront's line that's so successful internationally. The dam won on a wet track, and I'm wondering if this one might appreciate turf down the line.
The number 5 is Sirenic, a daughter of Strong Mandate and a half-sister to a multiple stakes-placed runner in Puerto Rico. A $5,500 yearling purchase. Strong Mandate wins 9% of the time with his 2-year-old first-time starting progeny. The dam, one sprinting, has been fairly productive. 2 winners from 3 runners. Wayne Catalano is one of those trainers that can pop with a juvenile debut runner, and to me, this is a classic watch-the-board type.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. And, I do like Catalano teaming up with this rider, who's done very well at Keeneland in recent meets. Strong Mandate was really throwing big, impressive physicals, much, in the mold of that Tis Now line, that I saw from his first foals. Did, well on the freshman sire list, which I thought was very competitive last year. I do think his foals might develop through the year and appreciate a bit more distance, still early on in his stud career. He himself kind of came along later in the season toward the end of the summer to win the Hopeful, going 7 furlongs.
We move on to the number 6, Third Eye, a daughter of Astrology. $1,000 buyback as a yearling, sold for $3,000 in February. Astrology has done good work with 2-year-old first-time starters, connecting 17% of the time. The 4th dam was a Grade 1 stakes-placed runner on turf. This is one I need to take a sort of wait-and-see approach with.
I think so. This filly does have a deep work tab. You look and you see several works there, as opposed to a couple of horses, who come in with, 3 or 4 works for their debut. Astrology, son of AP Indy, he was a decent 2-year-old himself, and, has done kind of sneaky good with some of his first-time starters. That's a solid win percentage.
The 7 is My Wynter Echo, a daughter of Raison d'Etat. Raison d'Etat seeking his first 2-year-old first-time starter winner. He's 0 for 23 thus far. My Wynter Echo sold for $1,500 as a yearling. The dam's a half to the Good Siding Spring, graded stakes place routing on the turf, a debut winner in his own right. I wonder if this filly's just going to need a little bit extra distance and maybe turf down the road.
Oh, I definitely think distance. I think turf. Raison d'Etat, a bit of a later blooming horse himself by AP Indy, and out of the wonderful multiple Grade 1 winner Sightseek. You mentioned Siding Spring in the immediate family, who was a good turf 2-year-old. The broodmare sire Exchange Rate, a versatile kind of sire. I do think that distance and perhaps a surface change will be the key to this one.
Baytown Babe is the number 8. This filly by Twirling Candy. Twirling Candy, really hot with 2-year-old first-time starters, 19% winners. Baytown Babe only sold for $2,000. The dam one routing on a wet track. She's a half to CP West, a debut winner that ended up winning a stakes race at a mile. I like the Twirling Candy's first time out, but I do wonder if this is the kind of filly that might need a race. I would consider using this one underneath maybe in single race exotics.
I think so. I think perhaps this one might come running a bit late. Another one who has a couple of works at Keeneland, to her credit for that experience with the surface and the environment. The female family, as you mentioned, a little bit of distance underneath there, but Twirling Candy, such a versatile sire line, the Candy Rides. They seem to be able to do a little bit of everything depending on what they're paired with. And Twirling Candy can certainly get you a fast sprinter type horse. You look at his runners like Grade 1 winner Finley's Lucky Charm and others.
Turf and distance might be the forte down the road for the 9, Alexa G, a daughter of Kentucky Derby winner Animal Kingdom, a $4,000 yearling. Animal Kingdom does well with juvenile debut runners, 18% winners. The Dam multiple stakes placed on turf. This is the family of Wood Memorial winner No Biz Like Showbiz.
Yeah, well, you know, turf was definitely the thing that leaped out at me here. Animal Kingdom, of course, such a versatile horse. I think his best race was actually on turf in the Breeders' Cup Mile, coming off that layoff, finishing up very well behind Wise Dan. Street Cry, the Broodmare Sire, another versatile stallion who can get runners on both surfaces. And you mentioned No Biz Like Showbiz in the immediate family. You know, he was on the Kentucky Derby Trail winning races like the Wood Memorial, went on to run very well on turf later on. So I do think Alexa G, you know, all pieces considered, might be suited for turf herself.
3 bullet workouts on the tab for the number 10, Lady Archa. At first glance, kind of a distance pedigree here for this late foal by Arch, who hits with 8% of 2-year-old debut runners. The Dam won 2 routes, and she's a half to a stakes place turf router named A Fair Dabbler. $3,000 yearling. Gotta respect the quick drills, but again, another filly that I want to take a wait-and-see approach, especially since she's a May foal.
You know, this one I might watch the board. At first glance, I think it's a bit of a distance pedigree, but those works, as you mentioned, very sharp. Arch can win with a 2-year-old if they're properly placed. I think if this one hovers around, you know, her 10-to-1 morning line and offers you a bit of value, she might be one you want to throw into the exotics. There
is a lot to like about the number 11, Nurse Maggie Sue, a daughter of gemologist that sold for $28,000 as a yearling. The Dam won 3 sprints. She's a half to a stakes winning sprinter. We see a bullet workout out of the gate at Keeneland on March the 23rd, and trainer John Hancock is very good with 2-year-old first-time starters. Just consider this formulator stat. Racing against Ward over the last 5 years, this barn has hit the board 52% of the time in 4.5 furlong maiden special rates at Keeneland.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't ignore the combination in this field. Hancock, Jose Ortiz aboard. You know, the post 11, I do think that in these 4.5 furlong sprints, the way the course is configured at Keeneland, I don't think an outside draw is as big of a deal as it can be, you know, going other distances at the track. Sire Gemologist does okay with his first-time starters. There's a lot of speed in the female family. That bullet work at Keeneland, going 4 furlongs out of the gate, a lot of things to like there.
The 12 is My Good Girl. She is the last horse in the main body of the race, and she is by Spendthrift stallion Danza. She's the first starter by Danza, winner of the Arkansas Derby, hit the board in the Kentucky Derby. This Dam won sprinting. The second Dam was a graded stakes winner on the turf. My Good Girl doesn't show a published workout on my past performances in close to a month. I want to see one from her, but I'm really interested to see how these Danzas do.
I am too. As we mentioned, you know, such a good group of freshmen that you have a Grade 1 winner like Danza flying, you know, far under the radar of many people. Danza, I think, a tremendous physical in his own right. The son of Street Boss, you know, that again, that's a very versatile sire line coming that way. So I could see Danza siring a lot of different types of horses depending on what type of mare he's paired with. You know, the Street Bosses, we've seen them run on turf, on dirt, sprinting, routing. Looking at some of the Danzas, though, you know, physically they haven't caught up to their sire yet. I am expecting them to need a little bit of time to mature. Of course, Danza came along and got so good in the spring of his 3-year-old year there with the Arkansas Derby win.
As mentioned in the open, 4 horses on the also eligible list, 2 trained by Wesley Ward. If either one of them gets in, they automatically become the horse to beat based on Ward's gaudy winning percentage throughout the years in these kind of races. We kick off the card, we kick off the meet, we kick off a 50-cent pick 5 on Thursday with a special post time of 3 o'clock Eastern. And without benefit of scratches, without benefit of watching the board, who are the fillies that you would use?
I think you definitely have to use Nurse Maggie Sue.
Yes.
Sorry to just be chalky there, but coming off that last work and with her connections, I don't think you could ignore her. For our viewers who have the benefit of watching the board, I am going to keep an eye on the Wayne Catalano filly Sirenic and on Lady Archa, who we mentioned, as perhaps a horse to watch there if she's properly placed, so I think Nurse Maggie Sue is your most likely winner, but a lot of, variables to use underneath, I think.
For me, I think the two horses I consider the most likely winners are the 11 Nurse Maggie Sue. I think a lot of folks obviously are going to land on her, but I'm also interested in the 3, Talk You Out of It. I like those stats that McCutcheon had, those long shot runners that ran admirably in these races in the past. I like her sprint-oriented pedigree. I'm going to use Talk You Out of It, the 3. I'm going to use the 11 Nurse Maggie Sue, and horses that I think are underneath candidates in single race exotics that might be worth using as backups in the pick 5. The 8 Baytown Babe by the high percentage Twirling Candy, and the 9 Alexa G, who might come with a little bit of a late run. It is a fun race. The opening day 2-year-old maiden at Keeneland on Thursday, and our Keeneland Babies coverage is presented by Spendthrift, the Breeders' Farm.